I started my whole company with an iPhone and a little smartphone gimbal that people never knew that's what I was shooting with. For me, it's like, yes, content, but quality too.
What's going on, guys? Hey, I'm about to interview a guy by the name of Justin Godsey. He is verified on Instagram. He's a real estate agent turned creative director, and now he owns a production company. And he built a studio, which is really cool. He's starting to rent it out. He's got multiple sets in his studio where you can go rent the space, and he'll do a bunch of cool stuff. He's a total creative guy. And I'm just excited to jump in, talk all things social media and real estate, and really peel back the onions. So let's just go ahead and jump right into it. What's going on, guys? Austin Zaback here with another episode of the Austin Zaback Show. Today we have a special guest, Justin Godsey. We've been talking for quite a few years. And dude, you've done some big stuff over the years, man. And I'm excited to jump into your story, how you got to where you're at, and you helped build some really cool brands, and now you have a really cool brand. And I think you have a lot of insight and knowledge on a lot of different things that I think the viewers and listeners will love to hear, bro. So I appreciate you being on.
I appreciate you having me. Likewise, it's been fun to watch what you've built over the last however long it's been. So I'm excited to sit here and chat about things. Whatever you want to talk about, I'm an open book. So
I love it, man. Yeah. So you were originally a real estate agent, right? And then, so how long have you been an agent? When did you become an agent?
2016, I jumped in from corporate America world. Just wasn't really enjoying where I was going with that. And my mom has been in the business for a lot of years, and so I saw the financial freedom and flexibility that she had, and really just wanted to jump in and say I could sell houses. So I joined her for a little bit, 6 months or so. Honestly, right from the jump, was kind of helping them with changing up the branding of this small little boutique company. Like, I just immediately had a vision of, okay, it's this, let's try and do this. But it was a lot, and I was looking for more. So, like I said, 6 months in, I met Brian North, joined North & Co., met my business partner, Mike Delana. Now we kind of joined forces really quickly back in 2016. And then till around 2018, 2019, I was really just full force real estate agent, trying to sell homes, build my business. And then kind of when everybody was jumping into real estate and things are really good and easy for people is when I kind of stepped back and really started this production company. I saw a need in the industry for high quality video. I wasn't able to find it for myself, and I didn't see a lot of people putting out high quality video at the time. So I said, you know, if you want something done right, do it yourself. And I originally just started shooting real estate videos for Mike, and then kind of took off from there with other clients and kind of really, like I said, shifted from real estate to this production company that I'm really focusing full force on now at this point.
And I'm excited to jump like really into the production stuff. I think we could have a really cool conversation about all that.
Absolutely.
And I think the viewers and listeners will get a ton of value. But before we do that, I want to dive in really quick. What were you doing before you decided to become a real estate agent? Like, what did that look like? And then why did you get into real estate initially?
Yeah, I mean, a little bit of the backstory. So I was in a band for a lot of years, traveled the country, made music with my friends, and had fun doing that. That was obviously a creative outlet. It was really fun to see the country and tour and have people around the country singing songs that we wrote. But then reality set in. I was in a relationship that kind of fell apart, and I was like, man, maybe I need to take a look in the mirror and reset myself. So I went back into the corporate America world. I worked at a bank, Wells Fargo. It was great. Worked my way up the ladder there. I was a branch manager, but still I just, 50, 60 grand a year. You show up, they own you. You take a holiday when they say you can. It just wasn't really for me. And so I jumped into real estate. Like I said, I think I was 27 at the time. And it was really just kind of a big shift for me. Like, oh, I've got all this freedom, but I need to actually go out and work and make money. Nobody's paying me if I don't do anything. So that's what I said. I joined my mom at first and then joined North & Co. Kind of learned the ropes from Mike Delana, who I mentioned. And I was, on a rise, starting to sell a bunch of homes. But again, it wasn't like 100% what I wanted to be doing.
Sure.
It gave me that freedom. It gave me the financial flexibility. It gave me all those things. And I still do love real estate. I still am in real estate. I will sell a home, but I wouldn't say I'm that person that's out prospecting business every single day, trying to, focus that much on that business. It's more of a friends, family, referral type thing. That's where I'm at now in terms of real estate stuff.
So did you really enjoy the creative side? I mean, was that kind of like your thing that you were passionate about?
Even right when I jumped into real estate, I was like, how am I going to market myself and stand out from everybody else? And at that time, it was creating parody music videos that were real estate related. And I just wanted to have, cooler photos, cooler image, cooler video, just a cooler persona as a real estate agent, as opposed to just stuffy, headshots and infographics about just listed homes. The creative aspect is really what I loved about it. I could be my own business. I can market myself however I want to. And I really loved that.
Yeah, I love that.
So, yeah.
So did you help North & Co. build their kind of social media brand, or is that what you do now? Were you focused on building your own brand? I mean, what did that look like, I guess, initially, and then what does it look like now?
Yeah, in terms of video stuff for North & Co., I mean, there was a time pre-pandemic where we started filming kind of what we called a mini documentary. And that was really the first content that I was doing with North & Co. I think we did a 6 or 7 part documentary to really tell the story of North & Co., where they'd come in the last 5 years. And then from there, we started working monthly together on just video content in general, testimonial pieces, different things for different agents, events, all that kind of stuff, just really creating content from the video perspective. The branding and, other parts of marketing North & Co., they've got a whole, marketing department that really runs that, but I was able to partner with Andrea and the other people over there to really elevate the video side of the content. So that was a fun documentary to work on for sure.
Yeah, I bet. And I got to go watch that documentary. I don't know that I've ever seen that one. You did that one quite a while ago?
Yeah, honestly, that whole thing was shot on an iPhone. It was back before I was really using any kind of real gear. If we get into the production stuff, I started my whole company with an iPhone and a little smartphone gimbal that people never knew that's what I was shooting with. But we shot the whole thing on an iPhone. Learned a lot in terms of documentary filmmaking and what can go into that. But it was cool. It was a fun little project to really tell a story. And do it with a company that I love being a part of.
Yeah, I love that. And I'm excited to talk about that in a little while. I think so many people, they get held back by not having all the fancy equipment, right? Yeah. And they're like, oh, I'll just wait, or I'll do it later, or I can't do it yet. I don't have the right equipment. And I mean, nowadays, dude, this phone will shoot almost better quality than a lot of
Especially if you don't really know what you're doing with a real camera. I mean, the iPhone does a lot of the work for you. So I'm a huge adamant supporter of using a smartphone if you got nothing else. So we can definitely dive into that if you want to.
Yeah, I would love to dive into that. So what is kind of your focus right now? Is it all in on your brand? Because now you own this media company, right? Or what do you call it? A production company, media company?
Media company, whatever you want to call it. Yeah.
And so, and what's that company called?
Godsey Creative.
Godsey Creative. And so what is the goal? What are you doing with that company, I guess, right now? What's kind of your focus?
Like I mentioned at first, it started by shooting listing videos and property tours for agents and trying to help elevate that. Over the years, it's grown to commercials, helping brands, personal brands, still helping real estate agents. We opened a production studio this year.
Oh, wow.
And there's some fun things in the works for the coming year that I can't really mention yet, but it's really been a whirlwind of growth. The focus is obviously building that company, growing that company. And really what we do is help partner with real estate agents, businesses, brands to create elevated content, basically high quality, production style, intentional, highly curated, engagement worthy content.
Yeah. Which I really want to dive deep into that. I want to talk for quite a while on content and platforms and, everything related to that, because I think it's still new in the grand scheme of things, right? 100%. There's obviously big names and there's people doing a good job, but then there's a lot. I think there's a lot of room to evolve in that 100%. Industry. It hasn't been around for very long, right?
No, we're all still growing. We're all still learning. Things are changing all the time.
Yeah.
A year ago, nobody was posting reels, and now that's all everybody's posting in terms of social media content on Instagram. Long form stuff is kind of out the window, which I'm not necessarily a fan of. I love long form content too, but it's constantly changing, constantly evolving. Trends are changing. And we're kind of going with the flow, but trying to stay ahead of it or trying to watch what's coming next. Don't get lost in one style and only focus on that. Continue to grow, continue to get bigger, and continue to get better is really what I'm focusing on. So.
I love that. What's the situation with, you said you have an actual physical studio now.
Yeah.
Talk to me about that. That's something that I think I would even be interested in.
Yeah, so we built basically a studio inside of a 1,800 square foot warehouse, kind of by Tempe Marketplace. We've got a full podcast setup in there. We've got what's called a big cyclorama wall, which is basically a big white curved area. If you think of the Matrix, when he goes into the Matrix the first time, it's all white around him. He doesn't know what's going on. Basically creates that illusion of infinite space. So we have a lot of fun with that. And then we've got some flex spaces in there as well to kind of just set up and create different looks for content for my clients that come in there. And I mean, we've done music videos in there. You can pull a car in there and do, car shoots. So it's flexibility is what we were going for. And it's been really fun. We've had it just about a year now. So
what does that look like from a business perspective? Like, I'm trying to wrap my brain around, you've got this really dope studio. Most people need a studio, right? Like I have this, and this is tiny. I mean, we're sitting in here right now. I don't know if it's 500 square feet, not even, probably 300 square feet in here.
Right.
But like if we get any bigger, like I'm gonna need more space, right? And obviously this is in my office, and I've always had kind of the idea of doing something similar to you, but never really for me turning it into a business. So I'm curious, like, is it pay per hour? Is it subscription based? Like, how do people come and access your studio?
It's twofold, right? So we've got the studio, which is technically its own separate business with my business partner, Mike, that I mentioned. Technically, it's its own entity where people can come in and just rent the space on an hourly rate and do their own thing, bring in their own crew, bring in their own camera guy. Or they can work with me and my company. We build in the pricing of the studio rental into the rate of whatever project we're working on. I would say from my perspective and other studio owners that we've talked to, it's definitely an upfront cost, and it's not profitable right away.
Yep.
But the business is there and it's coming. I mean, there's a big upfront investment to get a studio up and running, and then getting the word out, getting people in there to rent it, getting your own business in there and utilizing it. Is a challenge, but one that we're taking on, and it's been fun. Like I said, it was a 3 or 4 month process of just building it out.
Yeah.
And then we've been actively in there since about February. So, I'm in there a lot. People are booking it. People are renting it. We actually literally just put it up on PureSpace last week.
No way.
So it was really word of mouth or just social media marketing. We just put it up and we're starting to get people in there using it. So it's been great.
What does it take? I mean, to do that, is it like, okay, thinking through, I've got to have every piece of equipment that somebody could need or want to use. I've got to acquire all this equipment. I mean, what does the setup look like? What was involved?
Yeah, I mean, it was really thinking of what are we going to use the space for, right? And so for us, it was a lot of social media content, podcast type stuff. So we really needed a dedicated spot for podcasts, 100%. We wanted that to be versatile too, so people can come in and kind of shift that area to look however they want. That was a big thing. I had the vision of the cyclorama wall just because I figured there's a bunch of stuff you can do with that. A clear white background could be used for a lot of good things, and it's in most studios. You'll find at least a small cyclorama. But yeah, thinking about lighting is a big thing. Thinking about sound is a big thing.
Sounds huge.
One of the things for us in that space that we learned for future spaces is whenever we were in there at first, we never noticed that we're right in a flight path.
Oh my gosh.
So there's airplanes flying over us all the time, which, sometimes depending on the microphones or the setup that you're using for audio, it's like, oh, let's break. We got to stop for a second. Planes flying over. Most of the time with the setup that we're using, it's okay, but that's one thing. We're also right next to a mechanic shop, so you hear cars being worked on every once in a while.
Yep.
And then the location's fine, but every once in a while you might have people taking a shower in the back alley.
Sure.
So there's just things that you don't really think of when you're scouting spaces. And again, we make it work, but little things like that come into play. And then we're still buying gear. I mean, during the summer, air conditioning, big old space. It's got to be cold in there. Can't be blazing hot. And so we held an event in June. We wound up going out and buying 4 portable air conditioners that day. There's 50, 60 people in there for the event, and it still wasn't enough.
Yeah,
so
I bet.
There's just so many things that go into it. Huge learning curve that we've learned and continue to learn, but it's fun too. I mean, I enjoy it. It's what I do all day. So curating our studio to be exactly what we need has just been a blast for me.
It's built. I mean, you're building a business. I mean, that could eventually turn into a really big thing, right?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, it already is big, but I mean, it could be really big.
Right.
I mean, the day could come where it's like, I mean, I see that being a thing that, like, think about it like this. Like, this cost, I mean, dude, even just this right here was probably like, I don't know, $75,000 or something like that. I mean, to put this together. I mean, including the equipment and stuff.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, I can only imagine. I love the podcast idea. Like, what was your thought process? You said, like, when you built that out, you wanted it to be flexible, right?
Right.
Because, like, for example, like, people know, or at least they will know, this is kind of my set. I've got the red curtains. I've got the, that's just like my jam, right?
Right.
But everybody's got their own jam when they want to do the podcast thing. And I think podcasting's getting, like, way bigger.
It's getting huge.
Right? So what was, like, your thought process there of, like, building out? Because I think it's actually a really unique idea. Not everybody's going to be able to do this in their office, right? Like, how did you come up with that idea, and what flexibility are you talking about kind of there?
So it goes back to what I mentioned earlier of just seeing what's coming next. I did see everybody kind of pushing towards podcasts. A couple years ago, you and I probably know one or two people in the industry that had a podcast. How many people do you know have a podcast today, right?
Too many.
You've got a podcast. You're doing a great job with it. And some are better than others. Doesn't matter. What I wanted to do is create a space, like I said, that people can come in. We've got 4 or 5 adjustable height desks. So people, if they want to stand or sit, if they want to move those desks around to change it to their own setting, really the setup is a pretty bland, wall, sound panels, and actually we've got a similar wood setup like this.
If you've ever wanted to get into wholesaling real estate and you want to learn how to flip contracts and wholesale, right? Maybe you're brand new, maybe you've never wholesaled a deal, or maybe you're even doing a couple of deals a month right now, but you want to learn how to do more. Instead of joining my coaching program or somebody else's coaching program, we're actually looking to hire. So go ahead and message me 480-418-5339 and send me a text message opportunity, okay? So if you want to work with me, you want to work with my incredible team, you want all of our leads, you want all of our systems, all of our processes, everything, right? And I've done about 2,000 wholesale deals in my career, then go ahead, shoot me a text, 480-418-5339 and message me opportunity. And look, especially if you're in my state, okay, the state of Arizona. If you live in Arizona and you want to get into wholesaling, this especially is an opportunity for you because you can come sit right in this office with my entire team and be a part of one of the biggest wholesaling companies in the country. I look forward to talking to you.
One of the walls. But from there, you can come in, you can hang stuff. We've got a cage full of different props that you can put around. You can dress it up to look your own vibe, just like this is your vibe.
Yep.
And if people want to bring in additional things to dress it up more, they can. But it's a really cool, big enough space to be able to do that and still have a really good quality product that comes in. We've got all the lighting you need. We've got all the sound equipment you need. We've got the space. Now it's up to, and I can collaborate with people like, hey, what do you want it to look like? Let's build this together. But the versatility and flexibility of the space I just felt was super important so that it doesn't look like, oh, they shot that over there. It looks like they shot it at their own type of setup. You know what I mean? So yeah, versatility was the word going into it that I wanted to make sure that we maximized on.
I think it's a great idea. I mean, I think when I look at content creators and I look at like if, there's so many people that want to get into it, and I think if somebody was brand new to getting into content, I would almost recommend like, hey, go somewhere like your studio, right? Rent it out once a week, for one day or half a day.
Yeah.
And go in there and film as much content as you possibly can, right? With your team or their own team or whoever.
Right.
But like really get, 100 podcast episodes under your belt or get the ball rolling before you go try to build it yourself.
100%. That's even something that I tell people when they come to me wanting to start a podcast. Most of the time, to be completely honest, I'll turn people away if they don't already have a podcast that's kind of established and that they've tried, because there's a lot that goes into putting out a podcast, especially at any kind of frequency. Getting the guests together, sitting down and having the conversations, filming it, the setup, the post-production. You guys do a good job of making it as easy as possible, but there's still a lot that goes into it. And so if somebody's just starting, you know what? Set up your phone, set up the equipment that you have, and get a few under your belt. And then me and my team can come in and help elevate that content with what we've got. But the same thing, like go in and, like you're saying, go in, get your reps, practice, and then when you're ready to elevate it to the next level, that's really where I come in. But we have the space to do it by yourself. Or, I can show you how to use the simple pieces of equipment to at least get a podcast out there. But when me and my team come in, it's really to help elevate it and bring it to the next level, which is what we love doing. So you
could probably even eventually have like packages, like podcast packages where it's like, okay, like you have like multiple different packages that people could purchase and, we'll help you, whatever it might be, right?
And we kind of do that at this point too, right? It's like you want this level, you want 5-6 cameras, different kind of angles, you're going to have multiple people on there. Sure, we can help you with that. But obviously there's an investment that comes in with that. And so really the people that are serious about adding high quality content to their business strategy is at this point kind of what we're looking to help with.
I love that, man. And I love that people can also go into your studio and do short form content, right? They can do long form. They could do podcasts. They could probably take pictures there, right? Like really it is an all inclusive, like do whatever you want. And I actually love that business model. I think that there could even be some synergy in the future. I think it would be cool. As I get bigger, I would love to eventually have something like that, but I don't need the whole dang thing all to myself, right? So, I mean, who knows, what the future holds there. But I think that's a really cool idea. And I think people should definitely take advantage of that, especially if they're newer, man.
100%.
1,000,000%. So what is like your vision, I guess, of the future of that particular company? Like, what are you trying to get to?
Growth, continuing to grow, caliber clients, type of production that we're putting out in general, everything to grow.
Yeah.
Arizona's not Hollywood, obviously, and I plan on staying here. I'm not going to Hollywood. I'm not going to New York. But the level of production that we can put out and be a film house or production house here in Arizona that people can either come to me or they can bring me to them.
Yep.
At a higher clip, at a higher level of quality, is honestly where I'm trying to grow with it. Grow the company as big as we can, and help higher caliber level clients. Not that any of the clients I have right now are bad too, but if I'm looking in the future, obviously growth and building the brand is the ultimate goal. Removing myself from it a little bit, obviously, if we're looking further down the line, and growing the team that we're slowly but surely building. I find that growing a team in the creative space is definitely a little bit different than other models. Not everybody's got the same eye and vision that you have, and once you put your stamp on the quality of work, it's got to match that if you want to continue to keep your clients and to get new clients too. So building the team out has been a slow thing, but something that eventually I can't do everything. It gets overwhelming. It burns you out. And right now I do still handle a good amount of the workload just because it's hard to give up. But there are things now that I'm delegating and pushing out so that I can continue to grow other elements of the business behind the scenes and gain new business.
Yeah. What has been like your biggest challenge in hiring creative people, whether that be videographers, editors, lighting guys, audio guys, whatever it might be? Like, because I mean, I've struggled with it over the years, like big time, right?
Yeah.
So what have you kind of experienced? And I think a lot of people have struggled with that.
Yeah, like I mentioned, the creative eye is not something that everybody has, and anybody can show up with a camera and turn it on, but that is only half the battle. And then somebody can show up and shoot something, but that's only another half of the battle. Then there's the whole editing process and how things look. So for me, it's been slow because I want to train people up, and I won't send anybody to go do something, especially with one of my higher end existing clients, until I'm ready, that it feels like it's me showing up, right? So, but training slowly, pointing out, I mean, I'm all about constructive criticism. I'm not really one who, I mean, for example, I sent somebody to shoot something out the other day, and when it got back, we wound up getting on FaceTime, and I edited the whole thing with them over FaceTime because it just wasn't at the caliber that I wanted it to be at. And that, honestly and truthfully, and anybody on my team knows that I'm a stickler for the quality. And so that has been the hardest thing, if I'm being honest, is being able to let go, because it doesn't feel like it's me creating the work. And there's some things that I can get over and let go of that maybe other people don't really notice, but I notice. The fine details are what I really pay attention to. And if those are just glossed over, it's hard for me to put my stamp of approval on something like that. Which I'm sure you've experienced too. It's like, that's not what we're looking for, right? So
all the time, right? Yeah. I mean, and I think I've built multiple companies and hired a lot of people in my life, and this media creative, videographer, editor, photographer is the hardest role
100%.
Of any role that I've ever hired for, and I've hired a lot of roles around here, and I don't know why that is, to be honest with you. You would think that in today's day and age, it wouldn't be that hard. Like, I can't quite wrap my brain around why. It's like I can't figure out, it's like there's so many people that say they're really good and then they're not really good, or it's like, I don't know, ego, pride, I'm not sure.
I think another thing too is that as a whole society, we're becoming okay with more lower end, low quality. You've got a phone, go out and shoot the content, and a lot of that stuff can blow up and be viral, and people are like, well, we just gotta, it's the content, just putting out content. But for me, it's like, yes, content, but quality too. And I think that gets skipped over. There's a storytelling aspect to things that I think people get lost in. It's like, yeah, we got the content, we got a bunch of good shots, but you're not telling me anything with the story that you're putting out there. You're just throwing a bunch of clips together, putting some music over it, and hoping that it pops, where as opposed to actually putting some thought, some creative mind into it. Think about who's watching this on the other end. Are they getting anything out of it? And I think those are things that just get glossed over all the time. Is the quality. I just keep coming back to quality. That's the word that I come to. And just because it's in 4K and shot on a nice camera doesn't mean it's quality.
100%.
Were you intentional with the way that you shot it, who you shot, what story you're telling, and then how did you tie it all together on the back end, with the finished product? So it's a whole conversation that we can get down. But honestly, I think the fact that we're pushed to put out so much content so quickly forces people to just rush on the finer details that I think really separates decent from really, really good.
I agree. I love that you hit on, and there's multiple things that I loved, but you talked about like storytelling, right? And I was listening to a guy the other day, but the moral of the story is like we as human beings are, everything that we do is a story, and everything that our mind is actually wired to basically operate on stories all day long, right? Every movie's a story.
Right.
Hollywood spends $200 million to create a story, and they don't see any ROI on that until the day that they release it, right? Like, dude, that's a hell of an investment, and it takes a lot of faith, right? Okay, we're going to go blow $200 million, put together a story, and hope it pops, right? Hope people like it, And so we work on stories, and I think the greatest public speakers of all time are they're good storytellers, right? Like plain and simple, right? Why is it that content creators in 2022 and beyond like lost sight of that? Did they just never know that to begin with? I mean,
I think that's part of it.
Where's the disconnect?
It's not really knowing, and I think it's wanting to just jump in feet first or head first, whatever the phrase is. Yeah. I think people wanting to jump in and just be a content creator without really thinking about how am I going to be a good content creator, right? They just get a camera or they get some clients and they go out and shoot some stuff. It's like, what is this? It's just kind of blah. It's boring. I'm not really getting anything out of it. And you'll hear me if you follow along with what I always talk about, quality over quantity, where other people will tell you different. But I just think that so many people are trying to jump into the content creation game without really thinking, what does that mean? And how do I separate myself from the pack? For me, I'm never somebody who wants to just be one of 10 or one of 100. I want to be one of one. And that's what I think helps me create the type of content that I do, and in anything in life too. It's not just, I could go into back when I made music, like I didn't want to just make crappy music. I wanted to work with the right producer. I wanted to put out the right songs and the right lyrics and have the right aesthetic and the right look. All those things come into play with really everything that I do in my life. Is just elevate yourself, elevate the content and the work that you're putting out there, and don't be like everybody else. Don't be like everybody else. This is working for them, let's try and implement what they're doing on video for what we're doing on video. It's like, that's not who you are. You don't seem legit, right? So, and that's the thing too, like something that I might put out for one client is totally different than I might put out for another client, because it doesn't work for that client. They aren't that type of person, but we can still create really cool content around this person or this business, and it might look totally different than what we create from this person or that person. So I agree, bro. Intentionality.
I think Gary Vee screwed it up a little bit a long time ago, where he was like the guy that was like, just pump it out, right? Like just get it out there.
We've all fallen into that trap.
A million videos. And I think that as that has evolved, as time has gone by, it's like, okay, Gary, like that worked for you.
We're not all Gary Vee.
Right. But somebody else, like in order to get known, they've got to put out quality, right? Because quality is what's going to get them known to begin with. It's almost like the reverse effect. We're like, hey, I got to get known first.
Right.
And then once I'm known, then yeah, sure, I could tweet anything. It'll go viral. Elon can put anything out and it'll go viral, right?
Doesn't matter.
It's freaking Elon. Who cares?
Right.
But, until you're known, like nobody cares about you yet. Right.
And if you're just flipping out a bunch of content where you're just saying whatever, you're acting very Gary Vee about it, everybody's putting out content now. A couple years ago, Gary Vee was pushing people to do all that kind of stuff, and there wasn't as many people were afraid to just talk into their phone. You were doing it back in the day. I was doing it. Some other people were doing it, but that was a very scary and weird, honestly. It's like, why are you just talking to your phone?
Yeah.
Now, everybody's putting out content. So how are you going to stand out from the pack? And for me, it's quality, it's consistency, right? The consistency is still in there. You can't put out one quality video once a month.
No,
once every 6 months. You still need to have quality, consistency, and value. Be intentional with the content that you're putting out. Make sure it's engagement worthy. It doesn't have to get hundreds of comments on every single thing. It doesn't need to get hundreds of thousands of views on everything. To me, especially if we're talking social media, Instagram, the stuff you put on your feed is a portfolio for new business, new clients, new friends who, put out quality stuff. And then when it shows up on, somebody else's timeline through recommendations or whatever, the quality of it is what's going to make you stand out more than anything else.
Yeah.
That's my belief.
No, I agree, dude. I think dude, it's a fine line. Like you've got to do quantity, but you've also got to do quality.
Right.
Right. And you can't overdo and underdo. Like there's got to be this balancing act.
Yeah.
And you've got to just, I think, look at your niche and your industry and who you are as a person and your budget and your all the, you know, and then it's like, okay, how do I got to be like Johnny Cash, dude. Like I got to walk the line.
Yeah.
Right. Like I got to figure it out, you know. And I think a lot of people struggle with that. I struggle with that, dude.
Yeah.
Like I go back and forth all the time. I'm like, man, because, you know, we have 3 YouTube channels, you know, TikTok, IG, right? And it's like, okay, every platform, first of all, you know, it requires a different type of content for the most part.
100%.
I mean, certain content I can chop up and put on multiple platforms, but a lot of content I've got to film specifically to that platform, right? And so it's complicated, dude. I'm like, well, I'm like, this week, do we just pump out as much as we can, or do we get a couple really good ones, you know? And it's like, what do we do, right? And I think it's a battle that everybody's battling, and you've got to figure it out for yourself.
I battle it. I mean, I put out content for myself a lot, and even yesterday I was sitting in my studio after 2 different client shoots. I used one of the same setups I had, and I'm sitting there, and I've always got notes in my phone of what kind of reels or content I want to put out there. Sat down, camera rolling, and I was like, I don't have it today.
Yeah.
I don't have it.
Just not feeling it.
I'm not feeling it. The topics that I came up with, the way I'm delivering, it's not good. Turn the camera off. No, none of it's going anywhere. If it's not there, it's not there. I don't want to force it. But at the same time, like I said, I'm always thinking of it. I've got notes in my phone of hundreds of topics that I want to make a video on. So it's always in the back of my mind, but I'm not forcing it.
Yeah.
If it's not there, it's not there. I'm sure it'll be there tomorrow. I've got inspiration today to go out and, you know, potentially shoot some more stuff. So that fine line of quality over quantity, you still got to do it. But if it's not there, don't force it. Don't put out crap just to put out crap. Because you can wait a couple days, put out a new piece of content that really does well, and boom, it has the effect that you want.
I agree.
But for me, the effect that I want is engagement. I want to drive more business to me and my platform and my business pages. But I also want to create content for other people that helps them do the same thing. So I'm always keeping that in mind. The 3 things: quality, consistency, and value.
What is your favorite platform if you had to choose a favorite platform? Like, and how come?
Instagram. It's easy for me. I love Instagram. I always have ever since it came out. I've grown with it since 2009, 2010 it came out, and we were posting pictures with filters on it.
I remember.
But then they bring in your stories, and then they bring video to the platform, and then the reels. Like, it's just, if you use Instagram right, I think that the reach is fantastic. Obviously, YouTube is great. I love to use YouTube to watch content more than anything. It's a goal of mine in 2023 to really reignite my YouTube channel. Back before YouTube was big, I had a decent following from my band days. I think I got just under, 2,000 subscribers on there. I never post anything, but it was able to monetize, and then it fell off because the watch time or whatever. So for me personally, revamping YouTube would probably be second. I'm not a big TikTok guy. I can't get into it. I know it's huge. I know it's great for people, and I'll post on there, but not a big TikTok guy. I think those are probably the top one. I mean, you can go into so many different platforms, but for me, it's Instagram, and then probably YouTube. Facebook's great. Facebook's more for connecting with people. I'll post certain pieces of content that I think are really cool or valuable to Facebook, but again, I'm surfing there to see what family and friends are up to. I'm not utilizing it as much as I could be, but this isn't what I tell other people. I mean, use them all. Use as many as you can keep up with. Tailor the content to the platform as much as you can. But for me personally, I don't focus on all of them. I find more value in focusing on 1 or 2 and really just going as hard as you can there.
What is your opinion on the Instagram algorithm, like, moving forward? I know a lot of people right now struggling with the algorithm, right? You're verified on Instagram, just so everybody knows. And you've got a really good following there, aesthetically pleasing profile, the whole 9 yards, right? Yeah. What do you think about the algorithm? Like, what's Instagram doing? Like, where are they taking this thing?
It seems like Instagram's really listening to what people want more than anything, more than what Instagram wants, which at the end of the day, it is still what Instagram wants. But they go back and forth on recommendations. They go back and forth on whether reels are the top thing, whether photos are dead or whether photos aren't dead. To me, it's just use everything on Instagram. Yeah. Use as many stay consistent with your stories. Reels are huge, but don't be afraid to post photos. And then something that I've been saying for months is getting away from trending audio and these trends that everybody's trying to do. Now you see all these big influencers on Instagram saying, trending audio, Instagram's going away from it. It's because it's boring. We want original content that people can create, not the same recreated trend that everybody's doing. I don't know about you. I personally get turned off the second I see somebody doing the same thing I've seen. I'm scrolling and I'm out of there.
Yeah.
I don't have an answer. I don't study the algorithm like religiously.
Yep.
I pay attention to what the trends are and what Adam from Instagram is coming out and saying, and I read news articles. But to me, it's just they want you using the app. They want you using all the features of it, and staying consistent with it. Reels and video are the biggest thing, but documenting who you are, showing who you are in real life. My strategy is reels are the curated, high quality content most of the time. Yeah, I'll pull out my phone every once in a while and create a fun little reel with my phone, but that's not where I put any of that stuff. That all goes in the stories. That's real life. It's raw. It's me. It's my family. It's my kids hanging out. Same type of thing you do, documenting your day, going on, hey guys, this is what I'm doing right now. Whether anybody's paying attention or whether thousands of people are paying attention, like that's just where I document what's going on. My feed is where it's like I said, my portfolio. That's where people who are coming to work with me or just find out who I am. I mean, I don't know about you, but anytime I hear somebody's name, the very first thing that I do is I go check out their Instagram.
Oh yeah.
If I'm being honest, that's what I do. Yep. I hear about somebody.
I think that's what everybody does.
I think that's
yeah.
And if they say they don't, like they do it subconsciously.
Yeah.
You hear about somebody. So I really believe that your feed on Instagram is that portfolio for whatever it is that you're trying to accomplish. And so that's where I put that curated, thought through content. And then post photos of my family here and there and really just showcase who I am. I mean, it's really not as hard as I feel like people make it. Just use it. Use all the tools that are on the platform to the best of your ability. Hire out some people to help with some of the higher end quality. Give me a call. I can help out with it. But just really using it as opposed to just, and twofold with that is engaging with other people too, right? Mm-hmm. So if you want people to engage with you, you need to be engaging with other people. I've heard, some people say they're not creating or they're not consuming anymore, or they're not, going to, or they just don't engage with people. And I think that's obviously the algorithm's going to punish you for that, where you can't just post a bunch of content and expect for everybody to show up at your front door and love and show all that engagement if you're not also doing that. And I think that it's obvious if you pay attention that the algorithm notices that, and you don't get engagement from certain people because they never engage with you. So it's a crazy, crazy mess of confusion, but using it.
Yep.
Using it all around, both posting content and then engaging with other people is what everybody should be focused on going into the new year.
I agree with all that. I think, and a lot of people aren't engaging. I struggle with that even, right? Yeah. I struggle with, I'm always posting, right? And then, dude, I struggle, bro. Like, I'll be scrolling sometimes, and I'll realize I'm like, mentally, I liked it, right?
Right.
I'm like, but like, I didn't actually like double tap, right? And I think that it's just getting in the habit of like, okay, I got to show the love, right? If I want people to, you said it best, like if I want people to show me the love, I got to show the love.
100%.
Yeah.
That's something that, I'll even spend another second stressing it. Like, you need to be engaging with other people. People that I follow, honestly, sometimes if it's a crappy piece of content, maybe I won't like it, like out of spite.
Yeah, right, of course.
That sucks. I don't like it. Like, there is bad content out there that I won't engage with. But if it's people that I know, if it's family, if it's friends, if it's clients of mine, like most people that are actively using Instagram are trying. Yep. And so the best way for you to help them in what they're trying is to at least double tap it, God forbid, like it. And then if you share it, all these things can be huge. You think a cool piece of content comes out that you see from somebody that you support, throw it on your story.
100%.
Help them get some engagement. Help them get some eyes on what they're doing. Sometimes just that little injection of juice from somebody with a big following or a really engaging audience can help another person. And that's what I'm all about. At the end of the day, we're collaborating, helping each other. If you're just selfish on social media, it's going to show, and it's not going to get you anywhere.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. And I do think Instagram is like the business card. It's interesting, right? Because I'll go meet somebody, and I don't look them up on YouTube.
No.
Like when you know what I mean? Like when we're standing there exchanging phone numbers or whatever, and then like you said, you walk away, or whenever you decide to actually go look them up, which I think everybody does.
Oh yeah.
I'm not doing it on TikTok, right?
No.
I'm not doing it on LinkedIn. It is IG. Like IG is the platform where we're going and we're looking people up at. And I think, I don't know why that even is. I guess it was just like the OG platform.
I think that Instagram is something that people just even muscle memory, pull out their phone and click on it.
Yeah.
So it's like the most go-to, and it's easy, and it just, the way it's laid out, it's on your phone. You're not searching through a YouTube channel to find stuff. It's like there's a grid. Usually now there's pinned there's pinned posts that people are like, you can check those out, and it's just an easy way to get a good vibe of who people are if they do a good job with their Instagram, like right away. Like I can. I don't mean this in like a weird way, but I can kind of tell who somebody is pretty quickly through their Instagram page. Is that a weird thing?
No, I think it's totally normal. I think we actually live in a world where, like, whether you like it or not, people pretty much judge a book by its cover. And, like, I mean, people will judge you, that's a whole nother conversation of whether that's good or bad or whether you like it or not. But, like, it is a fact that, like, people do it, right? So it's like you are going to get judged in a moment based on your social media a lot of times. Like
sometimes that's the first impression that you get to give to people. And if you don't put your best foot forward on social media, that could hurt you. Now, is that dumb? Do we agree with that? I don't know, but that's kind of the way of the world right now. So if you're not putting your best foot forward on social media, you could be hurting yourself. I go back and I use this example all the time where if your profile is just a bunch of dancing trendy reels where we've all seen it. I see somebody on social. I'm like, that isn't even how that person is in real life. But then somebody who has no idea who you are goes to your page and like this. There's people who don't know what trending dances are or what pointing and all those things are on Instagram. There's an older crowd. There's even a younger crowd who doesn't know what all these trends are that people are doing. And when they go to your page and they look at it and that's all they see, they're like, what is this just a fun? Does this person just have fun all the time? Like, are they serious about their business? So I think it's a fine line. Obviously have fun, put yourself out there, do whatever you want. But if that's all you're doing, you might be putting off the wrong impression to some people.
Yeah, because social media, I think, again, good or bad, we're all, I always say, like, we're all marketers, right? And everybody's a marketer. And really, I think we live in a world where it doesn't matter what you do, you're a marketer. If you're a dentist, you're marketing yourself, right? If you're a doctor, lawyer, you're marketing yourself. Like, why should I use you, right? What makes you great? Like, why are you the best dentist? Like, I mean, seriously, like, one time I thought about getting veneers. I didn't end up doing it, but I was looking for the best dentist in Arizona, right? And honestly, I chose the dude that was verified on Instagram, right? And he had all the freaking people with veneers on his page, right? And I went and saw him, and I didn't end up moving forward, not because of him, but had I moved forward, it would have been him, right? Had there been another guy that wasn't verified on Instagram that didn't have all those posts, dude, I literally would have judged that guy. Again, good or bad, like I would have done it. I'd have been like, no, that's not the guy. Like he's not as good,
Right.
Which is crazy.
And that's not to say that people that don't focus on social media aren't good, but it's something that we all subconsciously think about. You see that blue check mark, you see all the beautifully created posts, and if that's same thing with a website, you go to their website, and if it's just like a cheaply put together website, you're like, well, this person doesn't invest much in their business. Are they really serious about their business? It's that thought process that we go through. And so, I think, that's the way I look at it. It sounds like it's the same way you look at it. And so I think for anybody that, doesn't take seriously what their social media looks like, it's something to think about.
Yeah. Well, perception's reality, right? I mean, it just is. And I think, we live in a day and an age where, like you said, I know a lot, dude. I know people that have like a lot of money. They're really successful, that have a private page on Instagram and nobody knows who they are, right? Do I honestly think that they're hurting themselves? I actually do. Like I actually do. There are people I know personally that have. I know a couple dudes that are worth, 9 figures. Right? They've got a lot of money, a lot of success. Private page, a couple hundred followers. I really believe in the bottom of my heart they would have way more success if they built their personal brand.
And to me, even just going back to the influence that it can create for you, right? So they probably already do have a bunch of influence, but having a strong social media following and a strong social media presence can create more influence than I think people sometimes realize. I've had the same conversation with people. It's like, well, why do I'm already successful. I already have this, that, and the other thing. But what about what opens up with your social media presence too? And having that influence. What about the doors that can open there that you never even would have known about or that you wouldn't have been eligible for if you didn't focus on your social media? So I think, I definitely agree with you there for 100%.
Yeah. Why are some people, in your opinion, like apprehensive or like why don't people want to do social media sometimes? Like even like people that are afraid of the camera. I mean, like I meet a lot of those people, right? Like they just get really nervous on the camera. I guess at one point I was nervous on the camera. It doesn't bother me at all now.
Right.
Like what is your advice to like that person, right? Like how do they overcome that?
For being nervous on camera, it just takes reps. And for me, I know that when this podcast comes out, I will go and I will watch myself. Like I'm like a football player watching tape. Any piece of content that I put out, I go and watch. And I've made hundreds, probably thousands of videos at this point. I've been on camera so many times. I've shot other people, and still it's a craft that you're getting your reps in and you're practicing. So you got to, number one, just do it. Number two, go back and watch what you did. I know so many people are like, oh, I never watched the content you make for me. I'm like, why not? You need to get better at what you're doing, right? And so you might be like, my posture might not be right now.
People don't like watching themselves.
People don't like watching themselves, so I think that
I got to sit up too.
Right? It's like, what? Maybe I got to think about it. I might look back and not like it. So practice. You just got to put reps in, get yourself on camera. First of all, it's not weird anymore. I think some people still think it's like, well, I'm talking to my phone or I'm just talking to nobody. No, you're talking to a lot of people. The second you push post on that content, you're talking to a lot of people, and you want to be putting your best foot forward. And the only way to do that, just like with anything else in life, is to practice. So that's number one. Number two, I think just social media in general is daunting because people think that there's so many things that you have to be doing. But really, if you just look at the whole picture of social media, it's not that crazy.
If you're a real estate agent or a real estate wholesaler, then you know that lead generation is one of the most important aspects to any business. You know that you have to consistently generate leads on a weekly, monthly, and yearly basis. That way your team has people to call, and that way you're constantly getting new opportunities in your company. I actually partnered up with a company called Rocket Lead Services, and they have VAs that are outbound cold calling on your behalf every single day. In my experience, there's a lot of different ways that you can generate leads as an agent or as a wholesaler. You can do pay-per-click, you can drive for dollars, you can do text messaging, you can do Facebook ads, Instagram ads, and so much more. In my experience, I believe that cold calling is by far the number one way to generate leads in 2022. Not only is it my favorite way, but it is the highest ROI from what I've ever found. So Rocket Lead Services is one of the best companies out there for doing just that. They have virtual assistants that get assigned to you and to you only that are constantly calling motivated sellers to generate leads for your business. Again, this is for anybody looking to generate seller leads for their business. This is for a solo real estate agent looking to do a couple of deals a month, all the way to teams that have over 100 agents and you're looking to generate more leads for your team. Wholesalers that are looking to generate more seller leads, all the way to wholesalers that are looking to do many, many deals per month. Go to www.rocketleadservices.com and go ahead and book your free consultation. Again, that is www.rocketleadservices.com and book your free consultation. Now, let's get back to the show.
Put out content continuously, engage with other people, watch what other people are doing. Something that I say all the time, there's nothing new under the sun, right? So look at what's working well for other people from a content perspective, and then implement that in your own way. That's a great place to start. Some people don't even know where to start. Well, what am I going to record? What am I going to talk about? What are other people in your industry talking about? Put your own spin on it and just try it. But the biggest thing is you just have to start. And I think that more people are buying into, well, I got to get on camera. That goes back to the conversation that we were having before. Do that, but when you're ready to really stand out from just a kind of selfie style, ring light and whatever in front of you, and you want to up the production value, eventually that's what you do to stand out. And you do that with people who can help you do that, people who have done it thousands of times, or your nephew that just graduated film school could probably help you with it too, maybe. But in my opinion, at least hire somebody who's passionate about creating content for you, and it'll help you elevate and stand out from the crowd.
I love that. If you were brand new at social media, trying to just get online, put yourself out there, would you go like one platform at a time, or would you recommend to somebody to start out of the gate trying to tackle like all the main platforms?
I'd probably say pick two. Honestly, if it was somebody brand new, I'd say, why don't you start a YouTube channel where you create educational content or inspirational content or whatever it is that you're trying to accomplish, and then use that content to chop up and put smaller versions on short form, Instagram, TikTok, whatever you want to use, so that you're into, you don't want to get so far down the road on just one platform and then you're like, now I have to start all over on YouTube. I think that if you use long form content, put it on YouTube, start growing a page. There's so many resources that you can do on how to grow a YouTube page, but then take snippets from that, put it on Instagram, and then use obviously stories and all that to kind of document your journey. just get out there and put out a bunch of content.
Yeah.
And not everybody's Gary Vee. Not everybody is a celebrity. Not everybody's going to be an influencer, but you could influence a small group of people.
Yeah.
Or you can, generate business. If you're a real estate agent, that one person sees your video, knows, likes, and trusts you now because of the content you're putting out. There's another paycheck that you just came up with just because you put out a piece of content. I mean, anybody that thinks that you can't get business from social media at this point is crazy.
I agree. I like what you said. Like, you don't have to be this like massive celebrity, right? Like, and I think a lot of people have the wrong idea when it comes to that. Like, if their video only gets X amount of views, then they're not doing it right, or they're like somehow unsuccessful or whatever. And it's like, dude, like you just said it, like if one person, depending on your niche or your industry, like becomes a customer of yours or a friend or a colleague or anything comes from that piece of content, like you technically achieved success.
That's a win.
It's a win.
It's a huge win. You go sell a house and you make $10,000, $15,000 because this person found you on YouTube. That ROI is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Just getting out there and starting to put content out, I think it should be a huge part of anybody's business strategy. Just like you have a CRM or you've got a lead gen or you've got whatever you've got going on in your business, I think blocked time to strategize your video, having a plan for either you're shooting it yourself but you got a decent setup or you hire somebody on, that's a part of your expense for your business. I think it's extremely crucial. I could sit here and talk to you for all day about this stuff, honestly.
We could, yeah. Well, it's a tax write-off, like you said. I mean, if somebody has a company, they have a business, they're a real estate agent, they're anything, right?
Yeah.
Like, write it off. I mean, the whole thing's a write-off. It's a microphone's a write-off, right? Like, why wouldn't you do it? It's marketing.
Right.
What we're doing right now is marketing, right?
100%.
And man, I think we're going to massively evolve. I think the people that don't get on it now are going to regret it,
And going back to, I meant to touch on it, we've all put out videos that don't pop. I do it all the time.
I put one out every day that doesn't pop. You know what I mean?
I do it all the time. And, then I'll put out some that totally pop. And then I'll see somebody puts out a dumb video of them opening a bag of chips and it pops getting hundreds of thousands of views on a reel. But are those real views really important?
Probably not.
Probably not. Does it feel good? They're vanity metrics. Yeah, sure. I love when something pops and it goes crazy. But if it's just a bunch of people in another country that are never going to transact with my business, yes, it looks good. We all get it. Yes, it feels good. But if you get 500 views and 9 comments, but one of those people then goes into the DMs or continues following you and then buys a house in 6 months, way more valuable than the 10,000 people that liked it from India.
I completely agree with
right?
that.
Like, just because the piece of content popped, did it pop with the right people? Because that's an algorithm thing that none of us can control. Sometimes it just blows up. You use the right piece of audio. You talked about the right pieces of content, the subject, or your verbiage down to the caption that you write was good, and it fell into the hopper of the algorithm and showed it to some people who might like it. But if they're not really paying customers that are going to transact with you, again, it feels great. I love it. I'd be lying if I said I didn't love when my content blows up. But I'm also not really mad anymore when it doesn't.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah, does it look bad? No, but don't get caught up in that.
No, not at all.
19 likes and 300 views. It happens.
I agree. I think there's certain pieces of content you could put out. Like I made a video. I've done this multiple times, but I had a video on my TikTok recently where I made a video of like dog poop, right? It was like, cause I had a house and basically I was talking about like I had a dog poop company, like come clean up the dog poop out of my backyard. And I made a video on it, right? And I was like, hey, like, because I walked out one day, I asked the lady how many customers she has, so I made a video. Anyways, video got like 1.2 million views. And now, obviously, I own multiple real estate companies, right? So, like, does that translate? But I always tell people, like, 1 out of every 10 pieces of content you put out, swing for the fences. Something where maybe it's broader than your actual niche, but it's not totally too wildly out there. Like this was still about business, right?
Yeah.
So the people that came, then now they come and now they see I'm in real estate and this and that, and they're like, oh wow, like I love what you're doing or blah blah blah, right? And I think that is a good strategy too, to drive people to your page.
There's nothing wrong with having that, and obviously, the more eyes on your content is always good, but getting caught up in the fact of it not blowing up is kind of what I'm getting at. Obviously, the more eyes on your content, the better. That's why I always say quality. Like, the more people that you can bring to the page, great. But in terms of getting caught up in that or getting bummed out or letting it sidetrack you from creating more content just because that thing, and it's always the piece that we thought was going to be fantastic that never blows up.
It's not. Yep.
And then the thing that you kind of don't try that hard on blows up. It's random. It's always great. The more eyes, the better. But don't get caught up in those vanity metrics, which, like I've said, I get caught up in them all the time.
Yeah, it's tough not to, right? And I think that probably is like the problem, if there was a problem with social media.
Yeah.
or one of the problems, I guess, is the psychological toll it can take on a person, right? If you're not careful.
What if we took away likes and views?
Right. Yeah.
What if we just took away likes and views that you can't see them, or maybe only you can see them, so you can track how it's doing. But when you post something, I don't see how many likes or views. Would we all still create content?
Would it work? Yeah, I'm curious. Like, would it work?
I mean, you can hide your likes now, and some people will do that, and that's good. But
think of YouTube though. If YouTube didn't have views, like Mr. Beast posted a video, Casey Neistat, right? And you didn't know the. I mean, like, would you?
I mean, there's a monetization thing that comes into play with that, obviously, but that mentality of like, what if you couldn't tell, or what if the other person couldn't tell how well the piece of content did, and you just continually put out content? Like, that's something literally that I think about in my mind all the time. Just don't even pay attention to it.
Yeah,
it's just a thought for sure.
I like the thought. I mean, I think Grant Cardone said one time, like, something to the effect of like, I don't care if you like it. I don't care if you engage with it. I just want you to see it, right? Like, I could care less about anything else. Like, as long as you see it, I'm fired up, right? And that's his goal. He's like, dude, I want to be omnipresent. I just want everybody to see it, right? And I think so. Like, when you take, like, for example, when you look at content, you have what they call an impression, right? So like, even on my IG, like, I got engaged a couple days ago.
Yeah, congrats, by the way.
Thank you. Yeah. And I was looking at that post, and it got like 20,000 impressions or whatever, right? It only got like 3,000 likes, but 20,000 people saw it, right? So that, to Grant's point, that's honestly what's important to me, right? I care that you saw it. I don't care if you like it, dude. Like, because I want people to know about me, right? I don't care if you like me. I want you to know about me.
And that, I mean, you're speaking perfectly to that. Like you said in the beginning, we've known who each other are, 2017, 18, whatever it was, and you're still doing the same thing. You're doing it at a higher clip now. But I've known who you are before I knew you for a long time, and it's really because you're consistent. You're on there. You're on your stories. You're talking about the things you're doing, your businesses, but also your fun. And I don't like every piece of content you put out. I mean, I try to like everything, but I see it. I constantly see you. Do I sometimes fly through your stories just like everybody else's? Everybody
of course.
does, but you're always doing it, and I've been able to watch that journey over the years, and so the omnipresent strategy is, I think, and me too. I mean, just post stuff. I don't care. I don't care if everybody likes it. And a lot of the stuff, I mean, I have a following from years ago when I wasn't even talking about video. So most people don't really care about my video stuff anymore that were from back in the day. But I still put it out there, and there's people that call me from a past life. They're like, hey, I need a video. Perfect.
Because they know about you.
Because they know about me. I document my journey. I'm just present on social. It's free too. Like, obviously you need somebody to help create some of your content if you're paying for that. But at the end of the day, record yourself and be present with video content, and it's going to take you to where you want to go.
I love that. What do you think? You might not have any thoughts on it. What do you think about Twitter right now? With everything. I
mean, now there's a lot of crazy stuff going on with Twitter. I used to be big on Twitter back in my music days, and then I just kind of fell off. To be completely candid, I used to be way more outspoken about my political beliefs, and I'm not anymore, and I don't think people necessarily should be. But I kind of fell off when I pissed a bunch of people off that used to follow me, and I just kind of said, I'm not doing this anymore. But Twitter now, I mean, it's obviously still huge, and what Elon's doing with the company is interesting. There's some funny stuff coming out, but that company as a whole, I mean, it's great. Obviously, Twitter has its place. I have it. I just don't really use it.
Dude, I've never been a big Twitter guy. I can't.
I remember you posted something the other day saying like Twitter was never my thing or whatever. But whatever you said, start posting about a person, start building your personal brand. See, I pay attention.
You do, I'm surprised you saw that. I don't know. I never could get into Twitter, man. Like I believe it or not, like I could post like all the content in the world on all these other platforms, and then I'll go to like tweet. I'm like, what do I tweet? Like,
it's just like a status update on Facebook. It's like I'm just doing this right now. And there's journalists and there's celebrities. There's people that have the right or have the place on Twitter. For me, it's like I could just do what I'm doing on Instagram and focus on that platform. So I don't know. It'll be interesting to see what Elon does with it.
I think so too.
And it'll be fun to watch. I don't think Twitter's necessarily for me.
No, not my cup of tea either. So Instagram's your favorite. TikTok, like why? What do you think about TikTok? I know you're not big on TikTok, but like, well, you might be, but how big are you on TikTok?
Nothing.
Okay.
Nothing.
So, and then you're also like metaphorically not like big. You're not a big advocate of TikTok, right?
Right.
But I do think TikTok has its place, and so I've been struggling with TikTok. I mean, I have like 150K followers on TikTok, and and then I just hit like a brick wall on TikTok, like out of the blue. And I'm determined to push through. But as of right this second, like filming the video, I'm like, my videos, I cannot get a viral video lately on TikTok.
So I, just like everybody during the pandemic, very early on, jumped on TikTok, and I was like, I'm going to just recreate these funny videos that everybody's doing. And I got bored with it in a week. Never really had anything pop. My little sister posted something. This is when things were just starting to go, short form was going viral. She like posted a video of a toilet at my parents' house or something, literally, and she got like 1 million views on it. I was like, well, this is kind of cool. I've never had that happen on TikTok. Never. I like, honestly, if I post something on TikTok right now, it will not get more than like 300 views on it.
Wow.
Just there's just a barrier. I don't understand. I can't. But I've got a buddy who owns a junk removal service, and he goes crazy on there. He's got so many followers. Every video blows up, and same for him when he posts on Instagram.
Nothing. Wow.
So I just think that for me, and this is just what I think, there's no real logic behind this, is I think that there was a time to jump into TikTok. People say it's not too late. You could still jump in. It's just what I've seen is like, if you weren't in when it was good, I don't know what's going on. And I feel like you got to pay to have your content kind of blow up on there, which, again, when I say I'm not big on it, I have no following on there, and I really don't use it. The only way that I'll use it is I'll just transfer whatever I post on Instagram to TikTok, and the strategy is literally post and pray.
Hope and pray, I love that.
And I just don't, and then there's the whole, behind the scenes at TikTok that I'm still not, sure of. So if I'm being completely candid, I just am not I have it. I'll look on it, but I don't even really consume TikTok content. So
do you get into like the marketing side of everything at all? Like, you got email marketing, because like content is like the front end for when you look at these businesses, right? You think, okay, when you really start getting big picture, you're like, all right, content is on the front end. I'm going to pump out as much content as I can, but then what, right?
Right.
And typically as you get bigger, it becomes, okay, building a big email list, right? Putting a free offer out there, free PDF, download my book, download this, do this, give me your email, right?
Right.
I'll give you something, you give me your email. I'm going to build a big email list. I'm going to hire a copywriter, and I'm going to blast you 3 times a day, right?
Right.
Do you get into that world at all?
No, clients that I have do. I have an email list. I'm not huge on, and this is not what I would recommend to other people. I'm just not huge on blowing people up with emails because I don't like being blown up with it. When was the last time you actually read an email that, I understand it 100%. I understand the value in it. I just don't appreciate being blown up. I'd rather see an email every once in a while from somebody that I really care about, a business that I care about that has value in it. I'm like, oh, thank you for sending me something, as opposed to being blown up every single day. There's Instagram brands that I've bought clothes from or whatever, and now I get blown up with them every day. And now I'm like, I don't even want to buy clothes from you anymore because the way that you're blowing me up just doesn't feel right. So, yes, people have email lists. Yes, obviously, the more information that you can gain from people and then use your content to then, on the back end, bring them back in as a client to transact with your business again, great. I don't get too far into that. We have other people like on our real estate team that take care of that, and probably something I should be doing on my own business. But really, I just rely on social media, word of mouth, which, again, in the growth that we talked about later, those are back end things that I need to be focusing more on for my own business. But there's also people that can handle that type of stuff for me, so I can't speak to it, as much as I could. But
because that's a whole company too, right? I mean, I've thought. I mean, at one point I owned like a little bitty marketing agency. We didn't do any of this kind of stuff.
Right.
Me and an old partner. I'm sure you know who that is, obviously. And he's a good dude. We're still really good friends to this day. But it's a whole company. I mean, it's like a whole. I mean, even for us. I mean, I've got an email list, and we do this and we do that. But dude, I don't do it at the level that I should be doing it at. And I don't know really. I understand it, right? But to your point, like, I think it's hit or miss. Like, I know some people that, dude, I get emails from people all the time, right? And I mean, they wouldn't be sending them if it wasn't working. So I'm like,
right. There's value in it.
Yeah.
But for the way that I view that, blowing people up and not, it's the same thing with quality over quantity in terms of content.
Yeah.
That I always go back to. It's like, if I hit you with a really good piece of content a couple times a week, as opposed to just like I'm posting 3, 4, 5 times a day. Again, there's arguments to be made for whether you should be doing that or not. To me, at the end of the day, though, you can't forget that if Instagram was to go away tomorrow, if you don't have all the contact information from all your following, what good is your following?
Sure.
So I do think that, again, going back to things I want to do in the new year, is figuring out a way to gain all that contact information from the real, true, engaged following that I have, whether that's giving away a piece of a course or giving away a guide on something, that is something to think about. If your Instagram following went away and you don't have the contact information for all those people, what good is that following?
That's true.
Right? So it is definitely something to think about, but whether I'm blasting people multiple times a week with emails, I don't think that's really my play. But
yeah, no, for sure. But I like what you brought up. I think and that's something that I've thought about before, and in this moment I wasn't thinking about it. But yeah, like you at any given point when you're on social media, you run the risk of your account potentially not being there. I mean, it is a risk we all take, right? We're at the end of the day, we're at the mercy of a company and another platform. And I do think it is important that if you're going to spend years and years of your life building that, you should try to get and extract that contact information, right?
Yeah.
Like you want to be able to market to those people if for some crazy reason you ever weren't able to on that platform.
Or Instagram, it just kind of falls off. I mean, it's been here for a decade, but if it falls off and people aren't really using it anymore and that's the only thing that you focused on, you could be in a world of hurt if you don't have any way of bringing those people to a new platform or at least hitting them with email. So there are so many things that go into all of this stuff. And I think you're hitting on an important piece that we all need to remember about is having the contact information in our own database as opposed to relying on these big companies that have our following for us.
I've seen it, bro. I've seen it play out where, people build an entire business, their whole life around, let's just say Instagram, right? They've got 1 million followers, whatever the case is, and their account gets hacked or taken down. They violate a term, and they're screwed, right? And I think it's important to think about that as you get bigger. I mean, I don't think you need to think about it in the very beginning.
No.
But as you get bigger, as anybody gets bigger, anybody watching or listening, I think that eventually you've got to think to yourself, okay, what value can I give away in exchange for people's contact information, and where can I store that information?
Right.
Like to your point, whether you email them all the time or you just email them once a month to keep them, on the list, whatever you choose to do there, but having that information.
100%.
Right. Worst case scenario, one day you email everybody, hey, I'm not on this platform anymore. Come follow me over here.
Right.
And here's what I'll give you if you do so.
Yep.
Whatever the case might be.
It's very important. And to your point of losing your account, I mean, 2-factor authorization, all the back end things that we can do. I mean, I've seen people, both Facebook and Instagram recently, lose their account. If I lost my account that I've had since 2010, I mean, luckily I have the 2-factor. I've got the, the verified part, so I hopefully won't, but it could happen tomorrow.
I lost my account, bro, a couple months ago.
I was gonna say, were you into music all of a sudden, or what was the, what was the deal with that?
Yeah, dude. So I lost my. There was multiple things that happened. Basically, I was verified, then they unverified me, and which was kind of ridiculous. I paid a company to verify me a lot of money, right?
Right.
And it was 100% legit. They went about it the wrong way. So they went about it in a way that I, was not okay with, but they did it anyways. And at that point, I didn't have control. Ended up losing my verification, but basically, then at a totally different time, like a month later, my account got taken down, and a lot of other people's accounts got taken down too, right? And they're like, you violated something or another, and I didn't. At that point in time, I actually hadn't violated anything at all. It was just that I think basically people were reporting. I don't know what happened, right? But then I had to pay to get the account back.
Yeah.
And
crazy.
It's kind of crazy, bro. Like the world of Instagram. There's this company that they were able to put a protection layer on my account, on the back end, for a fee, to where now if a bunch of people were to report me, it wouldn't get taken down, right?
That's good.
Which is weird. I mean, it's I don't even know how this stuff exists.
And that's the thing that people need to be careful with. Third-party companies coming in and messing with your Instagram page. I mean, my verification was legit through Instagram. I'm not saying yours is legit either, but there was a time when I got a bunch of press for, it's a whole other story we can go down, the town that I sold here in Arizona. And honestly, I went on and I was like, there's a lot of people hitting me up. It was legit. News companies and all these people were hitting me up. And I went into, you can request verification through Instagram. And I went that route, and 3 days later, they said your account's verified. I did the 2-factor authorization thing, because if I lose my account, I'm not going to be very happy.
Yeah, for sure.
My Instagram is my baby. And do I need to be necessarily verified? No, not necessarily. But the fact that they did verify it based on their algorithm and the things that are going on, it's just another layer of security. This is who I am. I know so many people, especially real estate agents. It always seems when there's a big conference going on, that the speakers then have the people, real estate agents who are speakers there, then have a fake account. I feel like I see it all the time where I see somebody that I know, a fake version of them follows me, and it's there's a lot of that out there. So whatever you can do to protect your account, whether it's getting it verified because you were in the press. I mean, I shot my shot. Like I said, had a lot of press. A lot of people hit me up, and Instagram said, boom, there you are.
Which is awesome.
Which is awesome. It's great. Whether that's the most flashy way to get your account verified, no, but it is a cool little extra layer of protection to have on there. I am who I am. And I think the only thing that I can't do is verify guidelines, or what is it? Go against guidelines, community guidelines. What I was looking for, go against community guidelines, or I think you always have to have a profile picture or something like that.
I agree.
It's funny because I didn't know where yours went.
Well, I hired a company. I mean, so I think IG's just weird as they've evolved. You know, I've gotten a lot of freaking press. Like, dude, I've won a lot of awards. I'm the first 7 pages of Google. Like, if you Google my name, I'm incognito. I'm pages 1 through 7. Yeah. Every link. I'm the only guy that I've ever met that has my name. So there's actually nobody on the planet that I'm aware of that has Austin Zaback as a name, like in general. It's a
cool thing
as a human being, you know. So my SEO's on point. But yeah, dude, they wouldn't verify me. So like they were like, oh, you need more press. Like you need this, and this. And I'm like, dude, this is ridiculous. Like I've been featured in a lot of crap, right?
I would expect so, yeah.
So anyways, it doesn't matter. But to your point, I think it is really cool. I do want to get verified again. Right. I think it actually is really important, honestly.
I mean, it adds a level of credibility to you. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I mean, you bring it up in this podcast. People reach out to me all the time, and it is something nice to have. Yep. Like I've said before, I'll be the first person to say I'm not a celebrity. I'm not some huge influencer, but I have been building my Instagram account for a long time, and whether they choose to verify me or not is up to them,
which is cool.
And it is cool to have that little token on there. Yeah. But also don't get caught up in stuff like
that.
No,
don't get caught up in it.
Don't get caught up in it. It goes back to the same thing, vanity metrics. Like I don't expect to be treated differently or to be able to gain access to things because I'm a verified Instagram user by any means. But it does add
if you can get it, right? And I told my team when they took it away from me, they told I got emails and stuff, and they're like, oh, you can get it back, right? Right. But you got to go about it like this, and they gave me a whole roadmap, and I told my team, I'm like, dude, we'll get it back when we get it back. Like I'm in no rush to get it back, right? I know that we'll get it back. And I'm just excited for the journey, right? I think people should be excited for the journey. You know, I was mad about it for an hour. Right. And then I was like, cool. Like, we get to go back on the journey again. Like, let's give them what they want. Let's go earn it, though. Like, let's get featured in more stuff. And not because I paid for it, but because we won it, right? Like, we've been winning a lot of awards lately, and I didn't pay for that crap. No. Like, we genuinely won that crap, right? Which is really cool. And I think that then when you do get it, the verification or whatever, it means that much more. 100%. Right? 100%. So, because I could have just gone and paid again, and there's a whole other way to do it, and I'm like, I don't want to do that, right? Like I'm over that. I'm done with that. I don't want to do that. They'll verify me when I'm big enough. At some point, they're gonna verify me. You know,
you'll get it back.
Yeah. So I love it, dude. Well, I know we're getting a little bit long on here, man. Are there anything that if you could give yourself some advice, like 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 years ago, could be life, could be family, could be anything. I mean, what have you learned over the last decade that if you could go back, like, you give a younger version of yourself?
Yeah, I think for me, I was, and still sometimes struggle with it, but I know a potential that I have, but I'm scared. I have been scared to jump off the ledge and dive into that potential. I'm not good enough, or I'm scared I'm not going to make money, or I'm not going to be able to support my family, or this, that, and the other thing. I've gotten way better over the years, but it took me a long time, mid-20s, to get to that point where the dreams and desires that I have for myself and my family and where I see myself going are going to take a lot of work, a lot of commitment, a lot of grind. And the only way you can do that is if you're confident in yourself, which confidence building is huge, and focus and just believe. And the belief that I can get to where I want to go are going to be huge, would have been huge if I would have known it early in my 20s. But if you have potential, tap into that potential, believe in yourself, and really the sky's the limit. I mean, if I would have looked into the future 10 years ago and been able to see the freedom that I have, the family that we didn't even talk about family, but my family, my wife, my kids, and where I'm at now to where I was 10 years ago. Yeah, it's only because I decided to jump in and believe in myself that I could get there. And I know that another year from now, 10 years from now, I'm going to be that much further. But it goes back to an old Matthew McConaughey speech where I'm always chasing a better version of myself.
I love that.
Right. So 10 years ago, great. I'm in a better place now, but 10 years, I'm now working to be 10 years from now me. And that's really the perspective I always have in life, is never there.
No.
I'm here right now, but I'm not there. And once I'm there, I'm going to need to get to there.
Once you're there, you'll be here.
Right.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
100%.
The future becomes the present, and it's an interesting thing.
Yeah.
You know. Yeah. How do you balance the family? While we're on the topic and the work and the grind and the whole thing. I mean, I always like to ask people that if they're willing to talk about it. Like, it's a tough thing, right?
Yeah. No, I mean, and it is tough. If you ask my wife, she'd say I'm always working. My wife is a full-time nurse in the ER, manages in the ER, so she's always busy as well. Mm-hmm. We've had to employ help with our we've got 3 little kids. And so really, family's huge to me. Family's super important. And what I've had to learn as I've gotten busier and I've gotten crazier is that everything just sometimes needs to go away. And I need to just focus on my family. This is the last week I'm working this year. I'm taking the rest of the year off to really legitimately just spend time with my family. No client work, no real work, maybe some back end stuff, getting ready for the new year. But you got to set aside time for your family. You got to set aside time for your wife or your girlfriend or whoever, is special in your life. Because honestly, I got married almost 3 years ago now. It feels like it was yesterday. 3 years flew by. I have a kid that's about to turn 2 years old in a couple weeks. I feel like he was just born. Yeah. Time flies by, and kids change your perspective on everything. Getting married changes your perspective, but when you have kids, and you've got those beautiful faces looking at you, and they rely on you for everything, and all they really care about is seeing you smile or cuddling with them. Like, there's so many little things for me that family's beautiful, and if you just are always focused on work and always focused on the grind and not really enjoying the fruits of life aside from that, you're going to miss out, and you're going to be looking at, yourself in the mirror when you're 75 saying, I wish I spent more time with my kids, or I wish I had kids. I mean, I'm a big advocate of family and kids and all that kind of stuff. Obviously a big advocate of working and all that kind of stuff too, but finding that balance, which is hard, trust me. I'm still struggling with it, but it's another thing going into the new year, now that I've got a few years of building this company under my belt, that it's a non-negotiable for me that I have to spend time with my boys, spend time with my wife, and have that be a huge priority for me too.
It's tough, man, and I don't have any kids yet, so I can't speak to that. But I have a fiance now, and just like an actual family too, right?
Yeah.
And I've struggled over the years, just 100%. Even with I grew up with my grandparents, and they're getting older, and I try to spend time with them, as they get older, right? They're like my parents, and man, I'll struggle to get over there. And they don't live that far from here, right?
My parents live 2 miles from me, and I feel like I never see my parents anymore. And that's a whole other thing. You have extended family too. It's like. And my mom will say, you coming over for this? You coming over for that? Or, hey, can you call me? Hey, can you chat? Like, Mom, I'm busy. Right? Like, I'm doing this. And if you really step back and think, it's like,
I'm not busy.
Is this more important, or is this more important? And it's almost always going to be family that should come before anything else. Obviously, you might need to get something done in the moment, but then call your mom.
Sure.
Call your wife. Call whoever, and remember that is really what makes the world go around, is your family and the loved ones and your friends and the people around you. And every once in a while, take your head out of the work and focus on those important things.
Yeah, man, I think you nailed it. I mean, if you made all the money in the world, but you didn't have anybody in the world to share it with, then what the hell's the point? Right? Like, why are you doing what you're doing? I mean, I think at the end of the day, so many entrepreneurs get caught up in that, right? And I firsthand, I saw a lot of people growing up get caught up in that, you know? And it's like, you really got to think about, like, why are you actually doing it, right? Like, it's cool. Don't get me wrong. There's a lot of people who want to make a lot of money, and I don't think that's a bad thing at all, right?
Right.
I think heck, go for it, 100%. Make the money, but like, you got to make sure that you're healthy when you eventually have the money, and that you have people to share it with.
Yeah.
Because if you lose your health and the people in the process, and you just end up with a bunch of money, and you're unhealthy, and you don't have anybody that cares about you, which happens all the time.
Oh yeah.
Right. Then you end up spending the rest of your life spending all of the money you earned to regain the health and rebuild the relationships.
100%.
And then what the hell's the point?
Yeah, and your priorities are going to change as you grow up. I mean, in your early 20s, you don't have a family to support. You're really just on your path of trying to get there. But I'm just a huge advocate for family. So once you get to that point, I mean, you're getting married. I'm assuming maybe you want to have kids someday, and your priorities will change. I mean, you still will have the priority of growing your businesses and growing what you're doing, but I'm telling you, once those kids are looking you in your eyes, your whole world changes, and the priority becomes them and the family you're creating. And to your point, you got to have somebody to do it all with. If you have all the riches in the world, you got to share it with somebody. So
I love that, dude. Well, I know we've been on here for a little while, so where can people find you, Justin? What are the platforms they can find you on? How do they get a hold of you?
Yeah, like I mentioned, Instagram @JustinGodsey. It's pretty straightforward. You can be friends on Facebook. I'm always looking for more friends. YouTube channel, if you want to pay attention to the new year, there's going to be some fun stuff going on there, whether it's long-form educational, inspirational type stuff, or some short film, fun type of things that we're going into the new year. And you can find me on TikTok, but you'll be one of like 100 people that are following me on there, and I probably won't be using it for long. But any social media network, I've got some kind of a presence on and have fun on it. But really, Instagram is.
Is there somewhere people should hit you up in particular if they want to like use your studio or hire your actual production company?
Yeah, I mean, you can go to my page or my Godsey Creative Instagram page. I post a lot of joint content there. Like I mentioned before, we're on Peerspace with the studio. So if you're looking for, I think it's named like Warehouse Production Studio. I think it has to have a generic name on there, but it's a production studio in Tempe. You can find it there. Honestly, just hit me up. I'm pretty open in my DMs, and it's just an easy platform to communicate with people on. So Instagram.
Yeah, I'm going to definitely be coming and checking out your studio.
Yeah, you should.
We'll have to talk about it a little bit more when we're off the show, but I want to definitely potentially use it, and use it more. I mean, this is all I have right now.
It's a great spot.
And which is great, but it only works for the podcast, really. I mean, I can film a couple other things in here, but I need another set, you know. So anyways, we'll have to talk more about that.
Absolutely.
And I appreciate you being on the show, man. I know that we could go for hours and hours, but I feel like we gave people a lot of value when it comes to content. I think that was really important.
Yeah, 100%.
And a lot of little nuggets that people need to hear.
Yeah.
So I really appreciate
you having me on. It's been fun. I love what you're doing with the show, and I think people should continue tuning into what you're doing. You've got a lot of great guests on, and I try to tune in as much as I can. I'll make sure I double tap everything to show you on there. But yeah, thanks for having me.
I appreciate that, man. Hey, and thank you so much for watching. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure you drop a comment down below. Let us know what you liked, what you didn't like. Let Justin know how much you enjoyed the show. And make sure you like the video if you're on YouTube. If you're on any other platform, would love if you would leave a 5-star review. It would mean the world to me. And thank you so much, and we'll look forward to seeing you in the next episode.